Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Sitting in front of me today is my friend Callie's 2006 Acura RSX Type S. So what we got going on for this car is we are going to be installing some, drumroll please, fog lights. You already knew that. You clicked on the video. So where these fog lights go is right in place of these little factory fake vents. Actually, no, there's a hole up there. Thought they were completely fake for a minute there. They're cool. They look sporty, but it is going to look a lot better with some fog lights down there. Now, we were trying to figure out if we were going to go with a yellow lens or a clear lens, and she said she liked the clear lens better, and I'd have to say I agree. I think it would look a lot better looking on this car specifically. So what we got to do is we got to open up the hood, and we got to pull off this front bumper. That is, we're going to get these lights mounted up first, and then I'll show you guys some of the wiring. And for the most part, it's pretty much all plug and play, which is really nice. There is no splicing that needs to be done as far as I know. So there's some ports inside of the car that this will just plug into under the dash. But we're going to have some fun and get these installed. I'll show you a little before and after once we get them installed. Some clips I took the other day at the gas station versus what it's going to look like with the new fog lights. All right, so let's get into this car right now. So she had just picked up this car. This will be actually the first real modification that we do to it that kind of alters anything on the exterior. So I'm pretty excited for that. It's got a lot of really cool plans. This car is a beautiful jade green. So it's got kind of like that green gold, kind of green silver too at times, kind of a beige. It's really interesting color. But we are going to get the hood propped up like that. And now we got to pull the bumper off, which is pretty simple. There's supposed to be four. One's missing. That's actually, it's not even missing. It's somewhere on the transmission down there. But we have 4 clips that got to come out with a flathead. We got another 2 right here for the grill. Then the grill will come off separate. Then down here, I believe it's an 8mm. Straight up here could be a 10mm. And then we have a series of clips underneath the car that look like so. There is like 4 to 6 in the front here that we got to peel off. Once we take all those clips off, I can literally take the front bumper off. These little clips are so easy too. You can just kind of work at them. It's better, like they make little pliers for them, but that's exactly what happened to the last missing clip. But you can use a flathead just the same. And right here, we are taking off this little 8mm bolt that is holding the bumper to the fender. And now all we got to do is remove the remaining plastic clips over at the bottom. The only other thing I forgot is there is supposed to be 4 Phillips head screws. There's 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side underneath the bumper. You also have to remove along with the plastic clips. Once those come out, then the bumper is almost ready to be taken off of the car. Okay, we've gotten the front bumper off. Now the best place to start is right down here. Seems like the only thing holding this in is just a Phillips head screw and these little tabs. So I'm gonna pull this screw off and we are gonna see what happens. I hope it comes out easy. I don't know. I doubt these have ever been removed. There's not really a need to have had them removed, but might be able to use this screw to help me as well. I see what a lot of people end up doing. I probably could have gotten the hardware in advance if I would have known. Is people will use zip ties to hold in the actual light itself. So not a big deal. Then we just gotta find a way to push those tabs down with our hands probably. Yep, there's that one. There we go. And then it pulls forward and out. So you'll see that little tab on the side there. That's going to notch into right here. I only tell you that because we're gonna need it for the other light. So right over here are our lights. This is the light we're going to want first for the driver's side with the vents on the inside. Now you'll see through this middle vent, there is a screw right here. I gotta detach this light from the plastic to mount the light first. Perfect. Now we have our light. I'm going to tighten down this bracket in a second as well. But for right this second, I'm gonna show you guys what we're gonna do with this. So we're going to take our light and it sits inside of the fixture. Just like so. So you'll see there's a hole there, there's a hole down there, and there's a hole right down there. And there's one more up here, but I don't think there's really much I can do for that one. Might run a zip tie around it just because. But yeah, there's no way to really mount these. There's no real mounting hardware. I guess what I could do in the future is take like little metal tabs and run them at these little rectangular ports and then run a screw from the front going towards the back of the car, but that's okay. For right now, it'll get the zip tie treatment. Well, as you can see, we've got 4 zip ties tied up right there. I threw an extra one up there just because, you know, if it holds, it holds. But right over here, we are going to take our plastic and we have to notch it into that notch, like I said, right there. It's going to go right in that hole. We're going to tip it back. And then once I get the light in place in the center here, so I can still move it around. I haven't tightened it down all the way yet. What I should be able to do is then kind of push this vent right into place where it needs to be. We're going to take our screw and throw it through the middle of this plastic. Tighten it to our metal bracket right over here. I can screw that in and our fog light is set up. Then I can adjust it a little bit after. There's a little side bracket that turned. That unfortunately doesn't tighten. It's just meant to be so you can move it up and down and adjust your light. Well, we've tightened down the little center screw in the middle there. There is our light. It's tilted down a little. I got to tip it up just a bit, but that is a good look at the fog light in the vent as opposed to, well, just the regular plastic vent. So pretty excited to see this all together. But after we get that other light mounted up, which I'm going to do right now, we're going to cut the zip ties in the back and I'll show you guys how we run our harness to power it up. So actually, I have to take off the plastic cover that covers the light on the other side because right down here, you can see we have a little screw and I can loosen and tighten that to adjust where the light sits, which is awesome. So I'm gonna do that now. Worst comes first, I gotta come back once it's on the car, take off the covers and adjust it so they're both evenly spaced. But for now, I'll do it by eye close I can. So right down here, as I tighten this screw, it is actually going to force it to lift up towards the sky, which we want because it's pointing a little too far to the ground right now. And then I can put our cover back on. I just want to make sure it's even with the one on this side. That one looks pretty good. So here we are with our harness. This has, it's a 2-section harness, so there's a little white connector that hooks into the other little white connection. It's all a part of the harness. This is what connects to our fog lights. So one side should be alone, so this is going to be the passenger side. And then this side, where it kind of all comes together, is going to be our driver's side. I am going to run this probably through the crash bar right here. I'm going to figure out how I want to route it, tie it down, and I will see you guys in just a second, but I'm just going to literally run these wires through this open bar. So just like that, you can see I've connected that light. You don't have to go too crazy down here. You want to make sure it's not going to hit anything that's hot or any moving parts. I wrapped electrical tape around the spash bar, so that's going to help hold it in place. If I got to run anything else in here, I will, but I'm not really like, look, we can just tuck it down there in between the middle beams. That's not going to go anywhere. That's actually really, really nice placement for that. Yeah, so that's solid. Just comes out of the bar. I don't think this is going to get hot where it's going to affect my wiring, so I'm really not going to stress about it too bad. It's all going to be tucked down in the bumper. There's a lot of plastic shields and everything too, so nothing to really worry about too horribly there. So what we got to do now is start running our other wires. We got this nice little ground, so I got to find a nice place to run a ground. We'll figure it out, and then I got to run my other wiring harness through the inner fender. So I'll probably just bust off these screws, and there's a grommet for us to get into the cabin of the car. So we're going to get there in just a minute, but let me figure out where we're going to run our ground. So just for right now, I just don't want to have to pull the front bumper off again if there's a problem. So I ran the ground just to the negative side of the battery. I'll relocate it somewhere to kind of hide the wire a little later. But until then, I can bring the bumper closer. We can take our other section of a light harness and we can plug that right in, and that is wonderful. Now what we'll do is take this last piece of harness, connect it to the other half of the harness, and run it through the wheel well and through the cab. So there's 2 little pieces of plastic right there. They just have little tabs you twist and pull down that go right here, and then one down below in front of the pedals. We're going to take this harness and actually feed it backwards. So I'm going to take it, and there's a little grommet right there where the wiring harness goes outside of the car, and we are going to push that little white connector through there and then run it down the inner fender to plug it in. Then after that, I'll show you guys everything we need to do to connect the harness on the inside of the car to get this thing some power. So as you'll see here, I have taken off 2 Phillips head screws that hold the inner fender liner in, and right up there, that little red wire, I gotta grab that and feed it all the way up and around to that connection. Well, I have ran the wire through the liner. We have connected it. So I am going to put the bumper back up on the car. That's going to take me a few minutes. Then we will move to the inside of the car where I'll show you what we got to connect in there. All right, I've just gotten the bumper tied back up. And this is what the car looks like with the new fog lights. Now, it's going to be dark by the time I come back out here to finish the installation, but definitely added to the car a little bit. Once it gets that nice big wing back there, it'll look even sportier. But, you know, it adds a little bit more to the car. Gives it a little something to jump out at you. Can't wait to see these things light up, though. So, crazy enough, it's actually Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everybody. It obviously has snowed the day before. Had to throw on some other trash shoes and change my socks because I was cold out here. But now all of this should be actually pretty straightforward. So like I described, this is going to go into our button, which is actually going to get mounted right in the switch plate. I got to take this and pull it off somehow. I think it's just some little clips. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire and plug it in right here, and right next to it there's that little square right there and right here. That is literally where this brown one and this long gray one with the red wire are going to get plugged in. They can only go in there one way. It's pretty obvious. So let's get those plugged in right now. The wiring half of this is really simple, actually. So as you can see, right up there, we got our gray connector in place. You can see the little brown connector right next to it plugged in. Now what we got to do is I've actually pushed out our little green wire that goes to the back of the switch and plug that in. All you got to do for this panel is I just reached my hand up and around and pushed out the little faceplate that was here. It was just a plain plate, and then just connected it, and then we're gonna snap that back in the end. But what I got to do now is find a good ground for my relay that sits down here. So we're going to tie up this relay as well. Want to make sure nothing interferes with the steering shaft because that actively moves. So that's why I tied it to here. Hopefully this will work. I might have to move the placement because I got to put those clips back in, and they probably go right here. So I'll worry about that when I get there. I took off this little piece of kick panel that goes right here, and I'm actually going to try to ground it off this 10mm bolt. So hopefully that works. I'll put a zip tie holding the relay up somewhere in here, and just got to run this little ground right here. Once I loosen the bolt and tighten it down, and then just kind of tie up all my wires and hopefully put my plastic back up, and we'll see if it works. All right, we got Callie with us right now. You got to turn the key and then turn on the lights. Actually, you actually might be able to just turn on the lights without the key in, and I think they'll work. And then, hold on, turn them off real quick. All right, wait. All right, hit it. Hey, they work. Let's go. Check that out. Well, that was fun. That was a good install. Now, in the future, we'll change them to LEDs. But until then, really hyped to see the fog lights all in action here. I'll give you a little before and after. Well, I think that looks just great. Like I said, once it's got that nice wing and like things just keep coming together, these lights are really going to be super cool to see on the car. I mean, I think they look great now. It adds just a little bit more to the car. We were laughing. We were saying that the fog lights are brighter than the headlights, which is going to change because Callie has some LEDs that need to go on there. But we're going to hit that probably in another video. So if you guys want to see some more car content on the channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, and peace out.